been a heck of a day today, and look, I do think it's worth noting once again that the timing of all of this is incredibly suspicious. To believe it's a coincidence that on the same day, what may be the most clear evidence of a Biden bribery scheme from when he was vice president, same day that the FBI informant information is seen by Republican members of the Oversight Committee, they drop this federal indictment against Donald Trump. Very hard for a lot of us to think that this is just happenstance, right? It's a very difficult thing, very difficult for us to understand, because it's not. I think that's really what it goes. I think that they figured, you know what, it's go time, because before the narrative can really fully formulate about the Biden crime family, I mean, I truly believe, how could you not, that the Bidens were accepting bribes? I truly believe that Hunter Biden knew he was getting paid off for at least the perception of favored access to his dad, who was then vice president. And that was the whole scheme. So that means he is a corrupted person. And it is impossible for the American people to expect that Joe Biden is, well, honorable or ethical, right? I mean, here he is. He was asked about this by the White House press corps, some of the White House press corps, and his response shows that he thinks he can get away with treating this whole thing like it's a joke. Play clip one.
Congresswoman Nancy Mace says there's damning evidence in the FBI file that you sold out the country. Do you have a response to the congressional Republicans?
Where's the money? I'm joking.
Mr. President,
it's a bunch of malarkey.
So it's all a big joke, huh? It's all funny. It's just hilarious. It's all malarkey. Well, okay. How exactly are we supposed to explain millions of dollars going to Hunter Biden? What was it for? You've seen the new photos? There's like 9,000 more photos that have been released of Hunter Biden doing, just the stuff that he does. And what you see is, because Joe Biden is actually so corrupt, and I know maybe it seems like, how could you really pull these things together? Why would I make the case that these things, there's some similarity? Because he is so corrupt, it is not surprising. It should not be surprising to anyone that he's willing to do effectively anything, any bidding on the left. He's a compromised person. Joe Biden does not have an ethical core. He is a pass-through for the desires of the Marxist lunatics who now run the Democrat Party and who are the ethos of the Democrat Party. So, for example, I mean, yesterday he was out there saying that it's wrong that extreme officials are pushing hateful bills targeting transgender children, terrifying families, and criminalizing doctors. They're not anybody else's kids. They're all our kids. He's pulling, think about this, old man Joe Biden, who is, an out of touch, white guy, super senior citizen, right? He's now playing he's so tight with the LGBTQIA plus activist community. This is the guy who we're all supposed to think, oh yeah, he's all about transgender surgery for 12-year-olds. That's really important. We're pushing hateful bills. The same guy. I know it seems like, but what about the documents and the payoffs and all the other things we've been talking about today? But you have to understand, you're seeing this across the board. Joe Biden is a representative of what the left has become. And there is no moral compass. There is no filter. So you're getting it. He is a pass-through. He is a vessel. And this is why when they say things like criminalizing doctors, targeting transgender children, we're trying to stop, in some states in this country, kids from making a horrific decision, that could ruin their lives when they're not capable of making that decision. And let's just really call it what it is. These are kids who need psychological counseling and help and support. They do not need puberty blockers and, removal of genitalia surgery. Joe Biden, 80-year-old Joe Biden, is an advocate for this stuff now. He is saying it is evil, it is wrong that they're trying to stop these procedures from happening. How many medical procedures can you think of where you see it and you say to yourself, that is awful? Well, the more you learn about what they're doing to people with these surgeries, and I mean when you see the photos and learn about the long-term complications, you realize this is self-mutilation. That is what is going on. Some of us don't really give a damn about what they say on MSNBC or what delusions the New York Times editorial board lives in. Some of us don't want kids to be subjected to the psychological fashions of the left that make them think that this kind of process, doing these things to kids, is like a core human right or something. Somehow, for all of human history have existed, didn't need to do this. And now suddenly it's the new civil rights struggle of our era. They remove skin from someone's arm to create a fake male genitalia. We're supposed to think this is normal. This is a good idea. There was a reporter who asked Biden as well. She said, I spoke to the parents of a transgender girl in Texas. Can I speak? So what? Transgender girls, that's a male who thinks he's female, right? It's really hard to know. A transgender girl in Texas who told me they're afraid and they're considering leaving not just their state, but the country. Why do you think this is happening? So I want everyone to understand what's really going on here. Yeah, I know. We've talked about the Trump documents a lot. We understand they're weaponizing the DOJ. Also understand they're coming for your children. That is reality. And they're setting it up so that anybody who doesn't think that some kind of gender mutilation surgery remember, we're talking about kids here, minors, not even getting into the adult portion of this, although we could do that too. They're setting it up so that if you think that kids should have to wait until they're adults before these decisions are made, you are engaged in a fear campaign that may make them leave the country. Let me tell you this right now. No person of any sense is going to leave the United States because their trans child isn't getting the full gender surgery that they want. But there are some really crazy people running around. There are some people who are completely deluded. And Joe Biden is, if not one of them, certainly willing to speak on their behalf. So what I'm trying to say is that this is all tied together. The demonization of the unvaxxed by Joe Biden. Their fault. They're the ones, with his angry, beady little eyes shouting at everybody. They're killing people because they don't want to get the shot. All a total lie. A provable and obvious lie. He is a man with no soul. He has sold his soul. He sold it for that old Corvette and a beach house and a presidency that was handed to him by a party who doesn't care that he has dementia, who doesn't care that he hasn't had an original or brave thought in his entire life. They don't care. So all of this ties together. The same man who was sending his DOJ on this mission of Trump destruction, and with it, the shredding of our republic and our constitutional freedoms, is the same man who had his son running around as the bag man, collecting millions for the family. Got to take care of Pop, 10% for the big guy. And is the same man who demonized the unvaxxed because that was what his party demanded. Even if the vaccine had worked really well, what he did was awful, right? You shouldn't be saying that people who are uncertain about an experimental, but the vaccine didn't stop the spread at all, zero. And yet, here we are. No consequences for him whatsoever. And now he's advocating the old man who ran as a uniter of the country, somebody who would bring America together. He tells everybody that that's the plan, and then he gets into office, and he is more divisive than Barack Obama was. He is more destructive. And I know some might say, well, Barack Obama really pushed further, faster, and then Biden is just finishing the job at some level. Okay, but I think you could see that Joe Biden has been, in his first term, a president who is more destructive of any foundational unity in this country. Look what he's done with the DOJ. You know, Obama, I had a lot of problems with Obama. Obama didn't have the DOJ locking up Mitt Romney. He did have the IRS going after Tea Party groups. I remember, but I'm just saying, I mean, this is unprecedented, truly unprecedented stuff. And it's all rooted in lies, and it's all rooted in cowardice. And I know that a lot of people say, oh, Joe Biden's not calling the shots. Yeah, but that has always been the point. He's doing exactly what he was told to do, you know. He is the prison guard who is beating the inmates who knows they're innocent. You know, he's the gulag prison guard that knows that this is all a sham, but he wants his piece, he wants his cut, he wants to stay where he is. Otherwise, I mean, think about this. Has he done anything to make the country feel like we are one country since he came into office? One thing. I mean, yeah, right now he's prosecuting his chief political rival. But if you step back and look at it a little bit more, what you can see is everything he has done has been meant to divide the country and to undermine foundational, not just freedoms, which of course he's done, but foundational conceptions of what this country really is. Eroding our southern border, destroying our sovereignty, letting our cities turn into violent, chaotic hellholes, spending us into oblivion, and now prosecuting his chief political rival. This is the country we live in now. It's tough stuff. I'm not in a position to soft pedal this, and I don't think it would be right to. We're heading into a very dark period for the country. What can we do? Well, we have to remember who we are, what we're all about, and not lose sight of the truth in this process. Not lose sight of what it is that we're trying to fight for, the country that we want. I don't want a country where we can lock up our political rivals too. I want a country where we all agree nobody does that. But that's not what we have now. So we figure out what those next steps will be.